What's up, EV Clan? Alex Espion here, and welcome back to the next episode of the Pokemon Gold Randomizer Nuzlocke. In the last episode, we did some Team Rocket stuff, and then I think in this episode we're going to do some more Team Rocket stuff. So, I think we ended off the last episode by getting the key at the top of the radio tower, and I don't necessarily remember where that key goes to, but I know it is the place where we're supposed to, like, rescue, I believe, the guy who owns the radio tower, or the president of something. I don't know. We're supposed to rescue someone. They locked him up somewhere in this town, and we're supposed to use that key we got in order to get to that place and rescue him. I think the plot was like he was supposed to be up at the top of the tower, and then we went up there, and there was someone else disguising as him. It was like that one guy. I'm sure you know the guy I'm talking about, but there's like a guy in Team Rocket in this game who's like disguises as people. I don't know if it's in Heart Gold and Soul, if it's just in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or it's in this game too. But I know he disguises as like Giovanni at one point. And I don't know if he did that in this game. I don't remember. Maybe he does that later. Maybe he already did that, and I'm just not recalling. But I do know that at least in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, he does do that. He disguises as Giovanni at some point. In this game, we definitely saw him disguised as, like, the president guy that we were supposed to save, and then we talked to him, and he wasn't actually the president guy, and he gave us, but we got the key from him that is supposed to get us to the room where we're supposed to save this president guy. I think. Or maybe we already did that. I don't know. Anyway, we're just gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure out what we gotta do today. Pokemon. They're nothing more than tools for making money. Yeah, okay, I heard that, but, so we have, what is it? We do have, like, the key or whatever that we need, right? I'm not just, like, imagining things. Good Rod, Red Scale, basement key. Opens doors. Okay, which doors? That would... The item description could be a little bit more helpful there. I'll be honest, like, not the most helpful item description in the world. Which doors? Opens doors is kind of vague. I mean, basement key, we were just in the radio tower, so maybe it's the basement of the radio tower, but I didn't see a basement entrance. Is this a basement entrance? Is the entrance to the building's basement next to the like, is it in a different building? Is the entrance to that building's basement in a different building? Hold on. Is this how I get to the basement where the guy's being locked up? The train hasn't come in. I know. I'll carry the passengers on my back. That won't work. He thought about it. He said it. He suggested it, and then he thought about it for like 2 minutes. Like, not even 2 minutes. For like 2 seconds. And then he was like, you know what, actually? That's a bad idea. That's not gonna work. It just took him like a few seconds of thinking about it to be like, actually, the thing I suggested? Stupid. Why did I say that? But yeah, I didn't see any way to get down to a basement from there. Anything on this side? Any way to a basement on this side? How about these guys? Are these guys blocking the basement? There seems to be a door down there. Stay out of the way! Beat it! Okay, what about you? Our dream will soon come true. It was such a long struggle. I feel like, judging by the fact that they're guarding that place, I have to get down there, but I don't know how I would. I mean, my guess is just go around. There's another entrance this way. Well, there's a doorway here, so maybe I can use that door to get over to that side of this building, and then I can walk up from there in order to get into that door. But where does this door connect to? I'm thinking I have to get out of this door, and then walk up from there, in order to get to that side of them, like on the other side of them, and then go over to that door, and go through that one. But how do I get to that door? How do I get to the door? I think that I have to use this door to get to that door up there, but how do I get to this door? This town's like a maze. I mean, what is this? Your playground, Goldenrod City Game Corner. Okay, so this is the game corner, so I doubt it connects to that door over there. I'm looking for, like, underground path or something. Goldenrod City. Yeah, this is just the sign for the city itself. Any way I can, like, go underground in this city. Any underground tunnel I could use to get over to that side of those buildings. There's a gym over here. What about this guy? Is he guarding an underground tunnel that I can use? Come taste the true terror of Team Rocket! I'd love to, but I can't. You're blocking the way. Hey, brat! You don't belong here. Get lost! I mean, I don't know if either of these doors are important for me getting over to where I need to be, or if they're just blocking those doors to be a hassle, but, I don't know. Underground entrance. Okay, here we go. What does this sign say? Name Raider. Oh, okay. Get your Pokemon nicknames rated. So that's where we could have changed Juan's name if we wanted to, but we didn't want to, and I still don't want to, so therefore, don't care. Don't care about that Name Raider. I'm happy with all my nicknames, thank you. I was challenged to a battle downstairs. It's rough down there. You better be careful. Okay, so basically, in a previous episode, I mentioned how I was playing Paper Mario, the Origami King. And, by this point, I have beaten it, which I think when I recorded the last episode of this series, I had not done that yet, so, I'd like to talk about it, honestly, because, good game. Real good game, and I especially thought the ending was crazy. I think you have some rare Pokemon with you. Let me see them. But yeah. I think, first of all, Final Boss felt like a Kirby Final Boss because it had frickin' 6 phases. You had, like, the 4 Vellumentals that Ollie cycled through. Then he turned into, like, his big, giant, like... I don't actually remember the order of the phases, but I know that he had his 4 Vellumentals that he cycled through. And then he switched to... And then, like... After that, there were 2 other phases. One where he was, like, sumo wrestling Bowser, kinda, where they were, like, they were, like, on a big circular platform, and they were trying to, like, push each other off, and you have to, like, I believe smack the ground is what it was. You had to use the 1,000-fold arms to smack the ground over and over again to just, like, throw Ollie off balance so Bowser could push him off. And that part took a very long time. Oh yeah, I think that was the one after all the Vellumentals. So he had, like, the 4 Vellumental forms, so that's, like, 4 phases. Really, it was more like 1 phase because it was all 1 health bar, but it was such a long phase, I'd argue it can be classified as 4 phases. Especially because, like, usually bosses in that game are only 1 health bar. But, they do have, like, very distinct phases of that 1 health bar, I think. Like, I would say that the bosses in that game do have phases, even though, like, none of them really regenerate and, like, regenerate their health bar back to full health at any point, or get new health bars entirely. Which is sometimes, in some games, like, a mark of, like, this is the next phase, is they get, like, an entirely new health bar, or their health bar just regenerates, and it's like, okay, now phase 2. But, in that game, that doesn't really happen, so I think that, just because it's the same health bar in Paper Mario Origami King doesn't mean you can't classify it as a different phase. I think that all those different Vellumentals that Ollie transforms into should definitely count as different phases. But, yeah. So there was the 4 Vellumental phases, and then, after that there was, the like, sumo wrestling phase, where you have to help Bowser knock Ollie off the platform, and then once you knock Ollie off the platform, for some reason he becomes really gigantic, because that's the Mario trope. You beat the final boss, and then they're like, oh no, I'm defeated, and then they come back as a giant, and they're like, no, I'm not, I'm more powerful now! Because every final boss in Mario has to be defeated at normal size, and then come back as a giant. It's the trope. It's the trope that they go with their final bosses now. I don't know why. I don't know why they're obsessed with, you beat the final boss, now let's see if you can beat the final boss again, but big. But that's what they do. Gah! I lost! That makes me mad! Are you making a Pokedex? Here's a hot tip. The hiker on Route 33, Anthony, is a good guy. He'll phone you if he sees any rare Pokemon. Oh, that's cool. That they have an NPC in this game where, like, you get his number, and then after that, like, he will call you call you and tell you, like, where and when to get rare Pokemon. That's actually very helpful for the Pokedex. I like that as a feature in this game. There's not many features in this game that I like. That one I do like. I think that's really interesting. Do you consider type alignments in battle? If you know your type advantages, you'll do better in battle. Yeah, that's factual, man. That's also common sense, but it is factual, I won't deny. Strongman Mia is sending out Seal. That's what a strongman looks like, in case y'all weren't aware. That nerd-looking person on the ground there, literally on the ground, with those twig-like arms, and those nerdy glasses, yeah, that's what a strongman looks like, by the way. But, yeah. Final boss was long. Longer than I expected, by a considerable amount. I wasn't expecting, like, the Vellumental thing to be the only thing, because that would have been kind of lame. I was expecting there to be another phase after that, but I wasn't expecting, like, 2 more phases after that. The Vellumental thing already took long enough to the point where, like, yes, I wasn't expecting that to be the only phase, but I was expecting it to be, like, only 1 more phase after that. Like, you beat all his Vellumental forms, and then he goes into, like, his main form. But instead, like his main powerful form, that's just him, right? Because all those Vellumental forms are, like, they're cool and all, but they're things you've seen before. It's not Ollie, it's Ollie taking on a different form. Then, after that, I figured, like, oh yeah, you beat all his Vellumental forms, and then he reveals, like, his true form, you know? Like, the Ollie form of Ollie, right? He can shapeshift into all these different things, but we haven't fought him yet, like, him as himself. So, like, when do we fight, like, actual Ollie? Not Earth Elemental Ollie, not Water Elemental Ollie, not Fire Elemental Ollie, not Ice Elemental Ollie, just Ollie. So obviously I was expecting another phase after that, Vellumental phase, but I wasn't expecting 2 other phases after that Vellumental phase, and I certainly wasn't expecting those 2 phases to both be so long. Also was not expecting the final phase of the fight to be just like... First of all, I wasn't expecting the phase after the Vellumental section to be just like a... I don't even know how to describe the genre of that final boss. That's the thing about Paper Mario Origami King that I find really interesting about it, is that that game really did not stay in one genre for very long. Like, yes, it's primarily a turn-based RPG, but there are so many times in that game where you just go into a completely different genre of video game. It's crazy. You have, like, the frickin', I don't know, man. There's just so many sections of it that are like, what am I playing? This is not a turn-based RPG anymore. There's the section where it's like, first of all, there's all those, like, macho paper enemy sections where they're just, like, charging at you and you have to dodge. Like, it's no longer turn-based, it's, like, combat where there's, like, a giant thing charging at you and you have to, like, dodge them and then hit them at their weak spot. Those, like, paper macho enemy boss fights. Not really boss fights, but, like, mini-boss fights, I guess, of sorts. Those are not turn-based. Those are not turn-based battles. That feels a little like, okay, we're losing the turn-based RPG element of this game a little bit. Ow, ow, ow! And then you have, like, the frickin' Shy Guy game show where Mario gets shot out of a cannon at the end, if you get the question wrong, which I think is crazy. I think it's actually really comical, the fact that I don't think I ever died in Paper Mario the Origami King until that part. I think that is the first death I ever had in the game, was I got a question wrong and Shy Guy shot me out of a cannon. And I think that's really funny that out of all the things Mario has done over the course of his life, that's how he dies. Getting a question wrong in a game show. I think that's really funny. That's like Paper Mario's canon death, to think of it that way. I think that's really funny. I know my Pokemon type alignments, but I only use one type of Pokemon. Especially, too, because it's, like, something you don't have to do. Like, they're like, you beat the quiz show, but here's a bonus question, and if you lose, you die. And then it's like, okay, Mario takes up this stupid offer because, like, I don't know, he's feeling lucky. Like, it doesn't seem like a very Mario thing to do. It seems like one of those moments where the player just takes control. Like, I don't think Mario would, like, the character Mario would ever agree, well, Mario or Paper Mario, for that matter, would ever agree, like, oh, you beat the game show, congratulations, now here's a bonus question. You don't have to do it, and if you do it, there's a chance you'll frickin' die. I don't think Mario ever does the bonus question. But I, as the person playing Mario, am doing the bonus question, because I ain't no pussy, right? So, hiya, care to see some bargains? I sell rare items that nobody else carries, but only one of each item. Nugget, Pearl, Big Pearl, Stardust, Star Piece. But the only purpose of these items is to, like, sell them, no? So, like, why would you buy something that its only purpose is to sell? That seems counterproductive. I don't know, maybe those things have some other use in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if you use them to, like, craft, like, a special type of Pokeball or something. Alex found the coin case. Oh, now I can go gambling if I want to. I don't want to, but it's good that I have the option now. My Pokemon just got haircuts. I'll show you how strong they are. How strong the Pokemon are, or how strong the haircuts are? That phrasing kinda was a little bit confusing. I won't lie. Level 12 Electrode. I was scared of the Electrode when I first saw it, because I'm like, oh no, it's gonna explode! But it won't explode at level 12. I don't think it gets explosion till like level 30. And I know that because, I remember that because, people are always afraid of the Electrode exploding, in that one section where you have like all the static Electrode encounters that Lance tells you to kill. Just murder outright. It just tells you to murder all the Electrodes. I remember that because people are always afraid of those exploding, but they can't explode. So I remember that, like, so that's how I remember that in this game, Electrode doesn't get explosion until I believe level 30. I know those Electrodes that are at like that static Electrode section where Lance tells you to kill them all. I know those Electrodes are like level 22 or something like that. So I don't know if it's exactly level 30 that they get explosion. But I do know below level 22 they definitely don't have it. So yeah. Level 22 and below, they definitely do not have it. Somewhere between level 22 and level 30, they might, but definitely not level 22 and below. Aye! Okay, what do you have to say? Your Pokemon will like you more if you give them haircuts. Okay. So now we're gonna battle this guy over here, and then hopefully these stairs will take us to, where we need to go. If they do, that's great. If not, that's also fine, I guess, because then I could just explore around a bit more. I saw another path I could go down, so I wouldn't be necessarily lost, per se. I would just be like, if this doesn't lead to where I need to go, I just assume that, like, I have to go down that other path in this underground area. I got booted out of the game corner. I was trying to cheat using my Pokemon. What is it, like a Hypno, Drowsy, Alakazam, Abracadabra? Something in that line, some kind of psychic type that can like read the opponent's mind, so you know what they're betting or something. I don't know. Just spitballing here. But anyway, yeah, I just wasn't expecting. First of all, wasn't expecting that many phases, quite that many phases. Second, was definitely not expecting the phases to last that long, and also for the phases to be so far removed from turn-based RPGs, because I figured they'd at least stay. Obviously, this game tends to move off of turn-based RPGs. It tends to move away from that genre a lot. It tends to move away from the genre it is a lot, with like the quiz show and the paper macho fights and that shooting down the paper airplane section where you're like on Bowser's ship and literally, like, any sort of, use the 1,000-fold arms to do this thing type of thing. They have a lot of those. There's, like, puzzle sections where you have to use elemental powers. There's a lot of times where they just are outright saying, nope, this is just not a turn-based RPG section of this turn-based RPG. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting, honestly. It confuses me a lot. It confuses me a lot of the time, because I'm like, what am I doing, right? Like, I was expecting a turn-based RPG, I was expecting turn-based RPG elements here, and instead I'm freaking, in aim labs, shooting, these paper airplanes out of the sky. But, like, so it does throw me off a little bit sometimes, it does confuse me a little bit sometimes, but I appreciate the creativity of it. Grumble. I guess I have to do things fair and square. But I expected for the final boss, at least, that they'd... let's just check over here, see if this is the correct way, and then if it's the correct way, we can just go down and continue exploring around. At least we know that this is the correct way, and so we know which way we need to go after we finish exploring down there. There are some shops downstairs, but there are also trainers. I'm scared to go down there. Okay. Is this the area we need to be in? There's a casino here. What if I talk to this guy now that I'm on this side of him? Is he gonna get angry at me? Pokemon? They're nothing more than two tools for making money. No, he's just gonna completely ignore the fact that somehow I got on this side of him. Even though it seems like he's supposed to be guarding this area. Oh well. Good for me. What's over here? Is this Bill's house? Did I get the static here? Hi, Alex. Do us a favor and take this Eevee. Oh, yeah. Came over... So I did not get the status here. I did not get the static here, but I still can't get it, right? I still can't get it right now because I have a full party. Someone has to take care of it, but I don't like it being outside. Yeah, okay. I would take it. I knew it. Way to go, hero. You're the real deal, dude. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm counting on you. Take good care of it. Well, wait, yeah, okay. I was gonna say, is he just gonna give it to me? I feel like most NPCs in this game, if not all of them, will not give you the static Pokemon if you, have a full party. But I guess this one's different, and it turns out it wasn't. But yeah, I expected at least for the final boss for it to stay in the turn-based, RPG genre. But I guess no dice in that regard. But whatever, it's fine. Basement key opened the door. I just think it was interesting. Not saying it was a bad choice, I was just saying it's an interesting choice that I would not have made. With all the, genre switching that occurs in, Paper Mario the Origami King. If I was making the game, I would have at least had, the final boss remain in the turn-based RPG genre, but they can't even remain in the turn-based RPG genre for the final boss of the game, I guess. Hold it! I saw you, so I tailed you. I don't need you underfoot while I take care of Team Rocket. Wait a second. You beat me before, didn't you? That was just a fluke. But I repay my debts. Okay, so now we're fighting our rival here. Because he's angry that we beat that we beat him before. But that is not a problem because we will just beat him again. So yeah, I mean, I personally found those two. The one thing I will say, like, I'm glad that it's creative. I like the creativity behind it. However, and I'm not like super against it, like having the final boss be not turn-based RPG. At least for some of its phases. Obviously, for the Elemental phase, it was, and I appreciate that at least one phase was. However, I personally would have made all the phases of that fight turn-based RPG. Just traditional turn-based RPG. I personally think that that would have been better received by the Paper Mario community, because in general they seem to like more traditional stuff. And I think that Paper Mario Origami King, while I'm not too sure about how people feel about the game, I feel like that might be one of people's like major gripes with the game, is how it keeps sort of switching genres, and so it's lacking that at a bunch of times it's lacking that like traditional Paper Mario gameplay. Again, I'm not really too familiar with what people think of Paper Mario Origami King, not to the extent I am with like Paper Mario Sticker Star, for example, where I'm like people just absolutely hated it for these reasons. Paper Mario Origami King, I'm not nearly as familiar with like what people like about it, what people don't. But me personally, I would have liked it better if I would have liked it slightly better if it was not slightly better. I would say I would have liked it a considerable amount better if it was just like your traditional turn-based RPG. Obviously, like still put in like your twists and turns because it's the final boss or whatever, but try to keep it in that genre, right? The whole like doing the sumo wrestling thing with like, I guess it's more like it's kind of like a timing minigame, I'd say, like more in the like timing game genre, I guess. Timing game genre isn't really a thing. I've never heard of like a timing game on like Steam or whatever in like the genre section. Timing, I feel, isn't really a genre, but like if I had to give it a genre, it's probably like that timing game where you have to just like, especially like the part where he puts the giant thwomp over you, and you have to like keep on pounding, like shaking the Joy-Cons, pounding the floor in order to keep Ollie off balance, keep putting Ollie like more and more off balance, but you have to stop before the giant paper macho thwomp squashes you. Especially that part. Like, so I'd say it's like timing genre kinda, and especially that part of it is timing genre. But timing isn't really like a genre of video game per se. It's just, if I had to give it a genre, a quote-unquote genre, that's what I would say. That is definitely not turn-based RPG anymore. And then the next part of the game, the next part of the final boss after that is even farther from turn-based RPG, frankly, because it's, like, it's swapping the tiles, which already is, like, a mechanic that is sort of, like, getting away from the turn-based RPG elements of the game. It's like, oh, before you take, it's a turn-based RPG, but before you take your turn, every time, you have to, like, match up the like, you have to spin the board, so you, like, match up the enemies in a line, and that way you get, like, a match combo, which allows you to do more damage. You get, like, a match bonus, which makes you do more damage. Again, I like it as something like mix things up a little. I think it's cool, but I like it as something to complement the turn-based RPG elements of the game. I think it's interesting that they put that in, and I like it as a mechanic to just be like, it's not just a turn-based RPG. We also have this like mini game you have to do before each turn, where you have to match up like the enemies, put them in a row, or put them in a cluster, that allows you to, I don't have any healing items besides this potion, do I? Better switch out then, because it's using Dragon Rage, and we have 38 health, so it is going to kill us next turn. Yeah, let's switch out, because I didn't realize I had no healing items besides a potion. That's crazy. I should have gone in more prepared. Who is coming in? Let's go with... Henrietta needs XP. Who is Henrietta? Henrietta is a Hoppip right now? No, Henrietta is a Totodile right now. Henrietta used to be a Pidgeotto. Henrietta used to be freaking amazing. Now Henrietta is... very Having a Totodile at this point in the game is... Does this thing have any water moves? I know that Dragonair lives in the water, and I'm sure it has water moves in other games, and even in this game I'm sure it does have water moves. I think Claire's Dragonair has Aqua Tail, I could be wrong. I know that someone's Dragonite in this game. I don't know if it's Claire's Dragonite or Lance's Dragonite, but I know someone's Dragonite in this game. Some important trainer's Dragonite has Aqua Tail. But I don't know if Claire's Dragonair has Aqua Tail, and heck, I don't even know if Claire has a Dragonite. Claire could just have a Dragonair. Like, I don't know. Maybe Claire only has a Dragonair. Maybe she doesn't have a Dragonite. Maybe only Lance has a Dragonite. Lance is her superior, and that's... Well, Lance is her superior, I know that much. But, like, maybe maybe part of that is that he has a Dragonite and she only has a Dragonair. Maybe she doesn't have any Dragonites. I feel like she doesn't have any Dragonites. Lance has 3 Dragonites, so Lance definitely has a 1-up on her for that one. Regardless of whether Claire has a Dragonite or not, I'm pretty sure her ace is Dragonair. So even if she has a Dragonite, I'm pretty sure her Dragonair is actually more powerful than her Dragonite. However, that seems illogical, so I'm just gonna go with the idea that she doesn't have a Dragonite, she has a Dragonair. I'm just gonna assume that. And I don't know if this thing, again, I don't know if this thing has Aqua Tail. I know that some trainer with a Dragonite has Aqua Tail. So I know that line at least gets Aqua Tail, but I don't know if Dragonair gets Aqua Tail. Maybe it's just Dragonite that does. And I don't know if even if Dragonair does get Aqua Tail, I doubt it's at that low of a level. So I think we're fine. It was a little bit risky of me to do that, take that chance, send Nina out against something that might have Aqua Tail, but it ended up fine. We killed it before we were able to even see if it had Aqua Tail, so that's good. Who is coming out next? Who is coming out to do with the Scizor? Honestly, I guess Nina could stay out. Does Nina have anything that's good against the Scizor? I don't think so, is the thing. Like, this thing can't really do anything against us, but I feel we can't really do anything against it. This is a little taste of a hardcore Nuzlocke for me, because, I don't have healing items to work with. So it's kind of like a hardcore Nuzlocke. I don't do hardcore Nuzlockes, but, if I did, this is what it would be like. This is just a little taste. This is just one battle of what a hardcore Nuzlocke would be like. So, I mean, maybe I can gauge whether I'm ever going to do a hardcore Nuzlocke off of this, because, if this is way too hard for me, then I'm going to just be like, okay, yeah, I need healing items. I can't do a hardcore Nuzlocke. Doing a Nuzlocke without healing items is too hard for me. But, should I go for the Tail Whip? I'll go for one Tail Whip. I think that's, I don't think that's a bad idea. Is this super effective? I didn't think it was super effective. It's not super effective, is it? No, it is not super effective, but it did make Scizor's attack higher, which I did not realize was a thing. Is he going to switch out now that we lowered his defense? Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that, because he does have an attack boost, and if he switches out, he'll no longer have an attack boost, so that would be honestly pretty great. we are not looking good. We're really not, actually. Crazy how much harder the game gets when you don't have any healing items. Henrietta we can't use, which is not helpful. Not helpful at all. Essentially, we have a 4 Pokemon team. And because Henrietta is not usable because they're a frickin' Totodile, and Chucky is not usable because they're level 15. We are really kind of down to our last Pokemon here. So, frankly, if I had, like, trained up, Alice? Is it Alice? Or is this a different Haunter? I forget if I named this Haunter a different thing, or if I named it Alice after the Haunter we had in the last series. No, it's not. Silly me, I didn't name it at all. It's Chucky, of course. It's the gift Pokemon. Alright. Yeah, luckily this Scizor does not seem to be doing all that much damage to our Slowking. I don't know what's the best thing to go for here, but I feel like it's Super Fang, so I'm gonna go for the Super Fang. I don't know for sure what it is, what's the best move, but I'm gonna go for Super Fang. Because I feel like, while we did lower its defense, these are both special moves, so that doesn't really matter in this case, and I think it resists both. It resists, like, I think Steel in this game resists Psychic and Water. Both of those things. However, in future games, I think it only resists Psychic. Out of those two, I think it does not resist Water anymore in future games, but I think in this game, at least, it does resist Water. I'm gonna go for one more Super Fang, because at this point, frankly, I know that it has so little health left, so the half of its health and damage, half of its current health and damage is not gonna do all that much, but I feel like, honestly, at this point, it still will do more than a Confusion or a Water Gun. I gotta watch my health. I'm not watching my health here. I'm just assuming we're gonna be fine, because we're a Slowking, and Slowkings are bulky as all get out. But I do gotta watch my health here because it's starting to get a little bit low. I think we'll be fine though. So now I think is a good time to go for that Water Gun. Should go for Water Gun and Confusion. I guess Confusion has higher base power, so I should go for the Confusion because they're both stab, so it's not like anyone. So it's not like that should be taken into account when we're talking about like how much damage they do. Since they're both stab, the one with the higher base power is frankly the one we should go for, especially since they're both special too. They're both stab and they're both special, so what matters is the base power in this case. Nidorino, okay. That is great for us because that is a poison type, and we have a psychic type out here. So that was a little bit scary of a battle, but we got out of it. We get through, right? We get through? We're good? Oh yeah, minuscule amounts of damage. And this kills. This kills for sure. It's level 30. That's higher than, frankly, most things we're fighting at this point in the game, because the levels in this game are weird. But we got it. We take it out. It's all good. It's alright. Looked a little bit like it looked a little bit like we were in trouble for a second there, but we are all good. Owen was defeated. Why? Why do I lose? I've assembled the toughest Pokemon! I didn't ease up on the gas. So why do I lose? I don't understand. Is what that Lance guy said true? That I don't treat Pokemon properly? Love? Trust? Are they really what I lack? Are they keeping me from winning? I just don't understand. But it's not going to end here. Not now. Not because of this. I won't give up my dream of becoming the world's best Pokemon trainer. Okay. He is intense as always. Yeah, we should definitely heal. The issue is that we don't seem to be able to do that at this point because we don't have any healing items, and I kind of don't feel like going back to the Pokemon Center, but I guess it's better to be safe than to be sorry, so off we go. The long trek back through the maze that is this city to get back to a Pokemon Center. Not looking forward to it, but we gotta do it just to be safe. It's a Nuzlocke. We take precautions. We need to here. Especially with the fact that only 4 of our Pokemon on this team are really ready to fight at any given moment. We need to be careful at this point. Mart. Okay, so it's the big old department store that is in this town. That's not necessarily like great for us right now. It's not bad at all. It's just kind of annoying that we have to go up an extra floor. Does this guy sell potions or just Pokeballs? Is this just the Pokeball guy, not the healing items guy? I mean, he does have full heals and revives, but there's no potions here, so I guess other guy is the potion guy. The guy right next to him. Let's go for you. You got potions? You got potions for me? No hyper potions, which is a shame, but I guess we'll take the super potions. Better than nothing. We're gonna go for 10 of those. Quick 10 of those. Do we have space in our inventory or bag? Not Minecraft. Do we have space in our bag, or is it gonna say that we don't have any space and we need to clear things out? I feel like our bag seems kind of full, but it is not completely full just yet. Okay, good. Last time I checked, I looked at it, I was like, it seems like it's getting pretty close to full, if not already full. Which I think it is still, I still think it is getting pretty close to full, but that shows us that it is not, in fact, full yet, which is good. Anyway, so we actually heal our Pokemon now. We got the healing items, but we didn't actually do the healing. So let's do that before we depart again in the direction of that guy we need to save. Before we once again depart into the underground pathway and down that underground pathway to the Team Rocket base, where we will be saving that guy. But yeah, didn't expect all those phases on the Ollie fight, and I certainly did not expect the phases to be those, like, 2 of the phases to be like different genres than like turn-based RPG. And as I was saying before, like, I like the idea of like the rotating thing to line the enemies up before you take your turn in the turn-based RPG. Like, it gives that you're still keeping the turn-based RPG element of Paper Mario, but you're adding like an extra thing to it, like a puzzle element to it, which I like. It's interesting. It's cool. It's a interesting thing. It's an interesting decision that they made to mix it up. However, I still very much enjoy the fact that we are staying at the turn-based RPG roots of Paper Mario, and I feel like if it's just the like tile sliding mechanic as part of a fight and not the turn-based RPG thing anymore, it just comes down to the puzzle sliding thing. It just comes down to like the sliding puzzle. Then that's kind of lame, and that is what the final boss of the Ollie fight, the final phase of the Ollie fight is. So that is unfortunate. I don't care if you're lost. You show up here, you're nothing but a victim. I do think in between those, the quick time events they have with Ollie, like, using his giant, like, weapon hands as, like, to attack you, and you, like, having to press a button to dodge it, I do think that looks really cinematic and cool. I do think that's a really cool thing that they included, in between the, like, tile sliding, but the fact of the matter is that final phase is still just tile sliding with a couple quick time events in between. And I think that's kind of lame, considering this is supposed to be a turn-based RPG. It's strange to me, and I'm sure strange to a lot of other people who played it, that the final phase of the final boss in this turn-based RPG is not in a turn-based RPG genre. It is not in a turn-based RPG fashion. Instead, it is a sliding puzzle. Why is the final phase of the final boss a sliding puzzle? It's creative. I like that it's creative, but from a game design standpoint, it's pretty darn weird. And I am pretty good at turn-based RPGs. I'm pretty good at strategizing. And when you get to puzzle sliding, and when you get to like sliding puzzles and sliding puzzles in short amounts of time, and button mashing combined with timing to knock Ollie off the platform as the 2 final phases of the final boss, that just it just makes it a lot harder for me, because it's no longer turn-based RPG, it's no longer something I'm good at. And maybe that's why I don't like it. Maybe it is just down to, like, maybe it's just mostly down to, like, it's become a genre that I'm not very good at, genre of game that I'm not very good at, so I'm no longer crushing the final boss, as I was with, like, the turn-based RPG part. So now I don't really like it as much. But I think even if I was, like, super good at, like, the tile sliding sliding puzzle, and the tile sliding puzzles that they do, and that whole, like, timing your, timing your button mashing with the 1,000-fold arms to knock Ollie off. Even though I feel that even if I was good at those things, I would still be sort of, like, confused to the point of I think it would still feel kind of underwhelming for those two things to be like the last 2 phases of the final boss. I still think it's kind of underwhelming in this turn-based RPG. Even if you like those things, I feel like it's a turn-based RPG at its core, Paper Mario. So I feel like it just feels very off in a way that is kind of underwhelming to have those 2 things as the 2 final phases of this final boss in Paper Mario. given the kind of franchise it is, given the genre of the franchise overall, it feels kind of off. Urk, yeah, think you're cool, huh? I do think I'm cool. I think I'm very cool. You must have ice in your veins to diss Team Rocket. It's labeled Switch 1. Turn off. It's off. Turn it on. Sure. We'll go for that. Did not mean to click on it again. Okay. Let's see what's behind here. It's a Pokeball. I remember this part being very annoying when I watched a YouTuber play it. I believe the last time I watched a YouTuber actually played this part in this game, I feel like they changed this puzzle in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Is that an accurate assessment? Because I watched one of Alfred's playthroughs of Heart Gold Soul Silver before, like recently, and he wasn't really annoyed by this puzzle. Meanwhile, the last time I watched someone play do this puzzle in Pokemon Gold and Silver, they were very annoyed by this puzzle, and it took them like 40 minutes. So I'm guessing they made the puzzle easier in Heart Gold and Soul Silver than it was in the original games. So that is a reason for me to wish I was playing Heart Gold Soul Silver. I'm sure there are a lot of other reasons for me to wish I was playing Heart Gold Soul Silver, but that is one that is apparent to me at this very moment, that I believe they changed the puzzle. Either that or made it like entirely different, not even just changed it, like replaced it with like an entirely different puzzle, because this also like looks pretty different from the setup of this room in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly, but it does to me look pretty different. And I will say this is a lot of doors that open that like you have to open in a correct combination of switch presses. If it was just like a couple doors and it's like, okay, you make sure these three doors, you make sure these like two doors are open, right? If it's just like a couple doors, it's like make sure these two out of these like four doors are open, right? You need to get through these two doors out of these four. You need the correct switch combination for that. That would be like not so bad. But I'm seeing like 6 doors just on one screen, and I haven't even walked to the right yet. I mean, I have walked a little bit to the right, but I can see that there's not a wall on the left edge of my screen, which means I can walk more to the right. So I'm sure there will be even more walls and even more switches to mess around with over there. If it's just like 2 walls I need to get through with like 4 switches, that's not that bad. But I'm noticing that there are 2 switches on screen right now, and I feel like if like all the switches would be closer together, if it wasn't for the fact that there were like tons and tons of doors like lining the bottom, if it wasn't for the fact that there were like tons and tons of doors going across this room, tons and tons of doors that you needed to find the right combination to open certain ones of them, certain doors, certain ones of those doors. Open one shutter, another closes. Bet you can't get where you want. But yeah, so it seems like, judging by the fact that there's not like a bunch of switches right next to each other, judging by the fact that the switches seem to be like very spread out, what that is telling me is that, oh my gosh, let's use Wing Attack on our, it's so funny that I saw the level 23 Charmander and I'm like, oh, okay, this might be a challenge for Henrietta now that Henrietta is like a stage 1 Pokemon, like stage 1 evolution, stage 1 in the evolution line Pokemon. And then I was like, oh wait, Henrietta's a Totodile, right? Okay, that's great, we have the type advantage. And then I looked at the moves, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're a Totodile that was just a Pidgeotto. We don't have water moves, we don't have that liberty. We have no stab here. At least the Charmander has stab, we do not. So it's great in this case that we are 14 levels above the Charmander, because it means that even though we don't have literally any stab, we can still one-shot it, it's fine. However, the fact that we are Totodile is certainly apparent, even just looking at, like, our Pokemon on this menu, because it has only 100 health, which, to be fair, now that I look at it, is only 9 less than Juan. Juan only has 9 more health than a Totodile. That is 1 level below it, mind you. This Totodile is not even the same level as Juan. if the Totodile was the same level as 1, if it was another level, level 38, if it was 1 level higher, it might even have, like, 104 health. It literally... It could be, like, a 5 health difference between a Gligar and a Totodile of the same level. That is how bad of a Pokemon Gligar is. Which is unfortunate, because it's my starter, and I want to use it for that reason. However, boy is it not good. What is good about Totodile, though, is that it is a starter, so it gains XP quickly. So hopefully we will... I say hopefully. I know for a fact we will not have this Totodile. Henrietta will not be a Totodile for much longer. However, what concerns me is the fact that Henrietta was a Pidgeotto, and then they evolved into a Hoppip, and then they evolved into a Totodile. And Juan, our starter, was a Mareep that evolved into a Hoppip that evolved into a Totodile. So, it seems like these two Pokemon both evolved into the exact same things twice. Each of them evolved into a Hoppip and then a Totodile after the Hoppip. So, that seems like far too big a coincidence for it to actually be a coincidence. So, yeah, at this point I'm kind of concerned that when Henrietta does gain that level, which, as I just said, will not be long now, until that happens. I am concerned that when Henrietta does gain that level, they will just evolve into another Gligar, which, obviously would mean that we certainly cannot use Henrietta anymore, because, using one Gligar on my team is obnoxious enough. It's a bad Pokemon, but I can manage having one just basic, what is the term? Objective. It's a bad Pokemon, but I can manage having one objectively bad Pokemon on my team. Having another objectively bad Pokemon on my team, that's when it gets, unfortunate in a Nuzlocke. Drat! I was sunk by indecision! And especially, and it's not even just that, like, Gligar is bad, and so having two Gligars would be awful, but also that that's just the same Pokemon, and I would rather not be using two of the same Pokemon in a Nuzlocke. That's just not very interesting. I'm confused, too. The switch on the end is the one to press first, but... Oh, okay, he gave me a hint, that's good. See, if that guy who I'd watched that spent like 40 minutes on that puzzle was actually like reading dialogue, perhaps it would not have taken him 40 minutes, because it seems like they give you hints. So we know we have to press the one on the first one first. Which sounds like an obvious statement, but I don't mean like the first one we have to press first. I mean, okay, there's only 3 switches. That's actually not that bad. Not actually as bad as I thought. I thought there were gonna be like 4 to 8 of them, which is gonna be obnoxious, but this room still, mind you, looks obnoxious, but now that I know there's only 3 of them, that seems less obnoxious. Confounded by the shutters, are we? I'll let you in on a secret if you can beat me. See, this guy's also giving us tips. Okay, yeah. So, I guess this puzzle is just it's obnoxious, it's annoying, but it's a heck of a lot easier, I guess, if you actually, like, read the dialogue of the NPCs in the room. So now, Weepinbell comes out, which is not a good matchup for our Totodile here, necessarily. But do we want to stay in? Henrietta could evolve into something really good. Then again, they could also evolve into another Gligar. So do we want to risk losing Henrietta? Obviously, when Henrietta was a Pidgeotto and they were slaying, I would have said, absolutely not. We do not want to risk losing Henrietta. But there's a chance that they just evolve into another Gligar, and that thing's useless to us anyway. So do we want to risk it? I feel like we risk it, for the content. Why not? I'm confident in this wing attack, at least being a 2-hit KO. Oh, it just kills! That's great, okay. I was confident in that wing attack being at least a 2-hit KO, and I was pretty confident that we could survive 1 hit from that thing. And I get that it's the second stage in its evolution line, and we are only the first stage in our evolution line, so our defense is just much lower than its attack, but at the same time we are also... our defense is just naturally much lower than its attack, but at the same time, we were like 13 levels above it, so I think we could have taken 1. However, I'm glad that we didn't need to find out that whether or not we actually could have taken 1. I'm glad that we were able to simply one-shot it and not even have to worry about whether or not my assumption was true. Hitmontop is coming out. That is a fully evolved Pokemon, which is a little worrying that we are facing a fully evolved Pokemon with our Totodile. But have you considered that this Totodile has the type advantage on this Hitmontop, and we are also 13 levels above? I feel like that's something to take into account. Yes, it is, because we one-shot the Hitmontop. It is so funny to see Totodile using Wing Attack and killing things. Ooh, I blew it. Especially it using Wing Attack and killing a fully evolved Pokemon. That's hilarious, honestly. Alright, a hint. Change the order of switching. That'll change the ways the shutters open and close. Okay, so first one first. That's what this guy said, right? He said change the orders of switching, but I feel like if you have the first one first, then I feel like change the orders of switching is kind of like an obvious piece of advice, no? And maybe if it was like, oh, don't switch the first one you see as you're going right to left in this room first, then it would be like a decent piece of advice, because then it's like, oh yeah, switch up the way you're switching them. Don't switch in the order of the switches, right? That would have made sense, but the fact of the matter is this guy already said switch one first, didn't he? I'm confused too. The switch on the end is the one to press first. Oh, does he mean this end? Okay, maybe he means this end, not that end. That would make more sense, because then the switch, like switch up the order and switch up the order you're switching them in. Hint would make a lot more sense if they meant like don't start switching from this side. Don't start switching from switch 1 on this side, start switching from switch 3 on this side. That would make a lot of sense, actually. Maybe that's what they mean by the one on the end. That would align with the other hint better. That, switch up what you're switching. If they meant by hit the one on the end, the left end of the room rather than the right end of the room, that would align better with the switch up the order you're switching the switches. Hint given by the other guy. They ditched this place. They ditched this project before they finished. I'm searching for leftover loot. Oh, this is a burglar? Are there burglars burglarizing this Team Rocket hideout? That's crazy. Are the thieves stealing from other thieves? That's wacky. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're working together? I don't know. Maybe they're all stealing things from this abandoned warehouse or whatever. I don't know. It would be great if this water type we had here actually had a water type move. That would be fantastic. But sadly, we are not that fortunate, as this water type has only been a water type for one level. At this point, less than one level. Because we have not gotten it to level 38, and frankly, it will only be a water type for one level, because then it will evolve, and then, let's be honest, probably unfortunately be a Gligar. But we don't know that. Maybe it could be a water type. Maybe it could evolve into a water type. Maybe it could evolve into another water type. And then it will be a water type for more than one level. Maybe it'll be a water type for the rest of its life, because it'll evolve into a fully evolved water type. Maybe it'll evolve into another Poliwrath. I mean, that's still a duplicate, but it's a better duplicate than having 2 Gligars, at least. Submission is what we're gonna go for. I feel like this thing has quite a bit of health. I feel like rock types tend to. So it might do a considerable amount of recoil to us, but I don't think it's like nearly a dangerous amount. Yeah, that's not that bad. It's more recoil than, like, I feel the average Pokemon. Not really the average Pokemon, but like I'd say more recoil than most non-defensive types. Most Pokemon that are like a non-defensive, more recoil than most Pokemon that are like a non-defensive type, I'd say. But at least of that level, I like around that level that Sudowoodo is. But it's still not that much. More recoil than you'd expect to see from more recoil than you would get if you hit a Pokemon, if you one-shot a Pokemon. More recoil than you would get if you one-shot a Pokemon that was not a defensive type of that level that Sudowoodo was. But still not too much. Still not too much to the point where it's I can nearly call it dangerous, you know? Still not too much to the point where I could nearly say it's dangerous. No, that would be a tremendous stretch. It is fine. That is a fine amount of recoil. It shows, in the amount of recoil that it was, that we one-shotted a rock type. That is a defensive type. It does have... Rock types do stereotypically have quite a lot of health, because they are a defensive type, but... So it does, and it does show that we one-shotted a rock type, because that was a considerable amount of recoil for the level of Pokemon that we hit. However, at the same time, still not enough to be even anywhere close to dangerous to our Poliwrath over here. Over the top! And what do you have to say? Post-battle. Underground warehouse? What do you want to go there for? There's nothing down there. What's down there, according to my sources, which is the head of Team Rocket at current. Actually, not the head of Team Rocket, I think, but like right below the head of Team Rocket at this point. I think Petrol is his name. Petrol, assuming that's his name, actually told me that there is an old man being held captive down here. So, actually, I would say that there is something down in the underground warehouse. It's on, turn it off. Well, no, turn it off. Because when we turn it on, it closes this door, which is not good for us, I don't think. Actually, let's turn it... What is it on? What is it right now? On or off? Is it on or off right now? First of all, does this current combination help us at all? It does not. So let's turn this the opposite of what it is now. It's off. Turn it on. Okay, let's turn it on. See if that helps us in any way, shape, or form. Does it help us over here? Does it help us over here? It does not help us over here. In fact, it actively hinders us over here. Okay, so let's not have that turned whatever way it is turned right now. It's on, so let's not have it turned on. Let's have it turned off. And then we are going to go over to this one over here. It's labeled Switch 2. And see what happens when we press that one. Is this helpful to us? It is not helpful to us over here. Is it helpful to us over here, perhaps? Oh, wait. Yes, it is. Kind of. Maybe. Possibly? Fork over your goodies. I don't think this is helpful to us, like, completing the puzzle in general. Like, the puzzle overall. However, it is helpful to us in terms of getting us to this one specific trainer. So that's cool. It's a source of XP. It's helpful to us in getting us XP, so that's cool, I guess. We're fighting another Totodile as the last thing we need to fight here to get us the last bit of XP to make us not a Totodile. How poetic that in order to not be a Totodile, we have to fight a Totodile. But once we do take down this Totodile, our Totodile will no longer be a Totodile. It is a rite of passage. In order to not be a Totodile anymore, Henrietta has to kill a Totodile. And this Totodile stands no chance against our wing-attacking Totodile. Our Totodile is slightly different than that Totodile. Slightly different in the makeup of its moves, I'd say. But that one also did not go for a Water-type move, so maybe that one also doesn't have one. It probably does, and it just didn't go for it because it would have been resisted. But I think it's funny to assume that that Totodile, that is a Totodile with a perfectly normal moveset for its level, also does not have a Water-type move. I think that's funny to assume that. I think it's funnier to assume that. Nidoran is coming in. Not a big threat to really anyone on our team. But, and for that reason, we're just gonna send in, the Pokemon, no Pokemon in particular, just the Pokemon that, no Pokemon with any particular skill set, just the Pokemon that needs the most XP on our team. Pokemon most in need of XP right now, which is our level 36 Poliwrath, because as you can see, level 38, level 38, level 36, level 38, level 39, I guess Shucky is more in need of XP than our level 36, but out of the Pokemon we're actually using right now, yes, Judy is absolutely the one that is the lowest level. So, let's help Judy out with that and get them a kill real quick. Well, not quick enough apparently because we missed that double slap. Honestly, I'm surprised that honestly, Honestly, I'm surprised that the first double slap didn't kill that Nidoran. I'm surprised that it wasn't just a one double slap ordeal. I mean, I think it was a low amount of double slaps that we actually ended up rolling. Maybe it was just 2. But, like, still, I feel like Nidoran is considerably more tanky than I thought it would be if it is taking 2 double slaps from Judy. Not 2 as in, like, it hit 2 times, but 2 whole double slaps. Not 2 whole double slaps as in it hit 5 times each time, but, like, you know what I mean. It's not like it took 2 double slaps. It took, it is like it took 2 double slaps, sorry. It took 2 double slaps, as in 2 uses of the move double slap. Actually, it took 3 at this point. It took 2 of them, but it took 2 of them. It took them as in, like, it took them and still lived. It actually took, but it took us, 3 double slaps, 3 uses of the move double slap, that is, in order to kill that thing, which is considerably more than I would have thought, and I guess, if we had gotten a 5 hit on our first double slap, then it would have only taken 2 hits, but even still, a 5-hit double slap wouldn't have even killed in 1 turn. So that's kind of a lot more defensive than I thought that Nidoran would be. See, I think actually this Teddiursa would have died if that would have died in only 1 turn. We would have been able to kill it in only 1 move if that double slap hit 5 times. Let's see, because if this one kills with 1 slap, yeah, that's only 1 slap. So we did 4 double slap. We did 4 slaps with the first double slap, and then 1 more double slap with the second, and then that one last one killed. So if we got 5 with the first one, we would have killed that Teddiursa in 1 move. Mercy! Which is more than we could say about the double slaps against, what is it? Oh my gosh, they're evolving into the Gligar. Yep, problem's broken. Randomized is broken. What? Apparently everything evolves into a Hoppip, and then a Totodile, and then a Gligar. I don't know why that's happening, but it is. Unfortunately, it is. So, now we have 2 Gligars. But, I can tell you this much, not for much longer, we will not. I am replacing this thing. As soon as I deem, as soon as I deem it, what is it? Reasonable to do so, I am replacing this thing. Steal and sell. That's basics in crime, bud. You said bub. I made that sentence a lot nicer than it actually was. So now we have 2 Gligars. Wow. That is, I'm sure, and Henrietta is actually the better Gligar than Juan. What? They're the same level, but when Henrietta has more health. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Henrietta just became a Gligar, and they're already a better Gligar than the Gligar we've had for the entire game. Juan is just destined to be showed up by Henrietta, always. No matter what Henrietta becomes, Juan will always be shown up by Henrietta. It is a fact of life. It is a fact of life in this series, but yeah, let's just get Henrietta out of the front, and then I guess turn things over to Judy for the rest of this place, so that they can get up to the same level as most everyone else on our team. And by most everyone else, I mean half our team. It's actually not most of the team. It's only half, because Geraldine is over-leveled compared to everyone else, and Shucky is way under-leveled. So, yeah. Let's get them to the same level as half the team, which is 38. So we're going to add an additional 1 level to that 37 level that they have now, hopefully by the end of this Team Rocket base we're going through here. And we actually did get a Pokeball over here. A polka dot bow is what we got. Okay, that doesn't sound very useful. It sounds like something that you'd use in like a Pokemon contest or something. I don't know if those are in this game, but if they are, then I bet it's used for that. So what are we going to get rid of so we can make room for the polka dot bow? Because should we just use this potion on someone? Yeah, let's use it on Judy. There we go. Just clear out that space that is being taken up by a frickin' potion, because potions are really not, just a normal-ass potion is really not useful to us at this point in the game anymore. But, let's use the berry juice as well. That also heals 20, just like the potion, so we could, use another, like, quick healing item that's gonna do a little bit. But with the 2 of those combined, we have 40 health heals, which is still less than just one super potion. But, you know, it's more than if we just used 1 of them. So, anyway. Did I finish my tangent about Ollie? the final boss of Paper Mario Origami King. I mean, I think I did, right? I said, like, I said about how it's a... I don't mind... like, I personally think it would have been much better if they, if they kept it a traditional turn-based RPG. I said that I think it would have been much better if they kept it a traditional turn-based RPG, but that I don't, like, hate the boss fight because of it. I just think that I would have liked it better, and I feel like most people would have liked it better if they kept it a traditional turn-based RPG. And I'm commented also about the fact that, like, I personally, one of the reasons why I don't like it is because I'm much better at turn-based RPGs than whatever genre those other phases of the final boss were supposed to be that weren't turn-based RPGs. So yeah, I just mentioned that. So I think that does, but like, I still, even though I would have liked it better, even though I would have liked it better if it stayed a turn-based RPG throughout the entirety of that boss fight and it didn't have those, like, other genre types of phases, I think that even though that is the case, that it had those other genre types of phases and it didn't stay turn-based RPG, even though I would have liked it better because I'm not as good at those other genre phases, at whatever those, even though I would have liked it better, I think, even though I would have liked it better, if it had not stayed... What am I saying? What am I talking about? Hold on. Let me just finish this thought and then I'll end up the episode. Okay. Even though I know I would have liked it better, if it was not those other types of genres, those phases. Hold on, let me just start the sentence over. Even though I know I would have liked it better if the final boss had stayed turn-based RPG and hadn't had those other phases that were, like, other genres. One, because I think it is kind of underwhelming, considering what the franchise is, what Paper Mario is. And two, because I'm just not very good at those other things. Even though there are those two factors that contribute to me even though there are those two factors that contribute to the fact that I would have liked it better if the final boss had just been exclusively, like, turn-based RPG, fact of the matter is I still don't hate that it's not all turn-based RPG, because I respect the creativity. And that is something that I can say, definitely, about Paper Mario Origami King, just in general, is that I really appreciate the creativity. Say what you want about the game, I really appreciate the creativity. So, anyway, tangent over. Thank you guys so much for watching, EV Clan. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. This is Alex Spion, signing off.